Evening, everybody. It's your friend Bruno. This is part 4 of the mindfulness, meditation, and the care of footwear. We're going to take a look at my boots and see where we are. Let me go ahead and flip this around, and you can see that after 6 hours and about 3 coats of the Lincoln wax, we're just now getting to the point where we're getting a little bit of a reflection out of this. You can see you're actually seeing more of a shadow, but yeah, you can see, a bit of the sun or a bit of the light reflecting there. Now you can see the reflection. All right. Still a bit grainy in there, and that's because the pores are still being filled with the wax. Now, it was very hot today. It was in the 90s as I was doing this, and very humid. So really, the wax was how can I put it? It was being absorbed by the leather, but it was so hot that it couldn't adequately fill the pores. And but you can see when you look close up, you can see the pores in the leather still need to be filled, and that is a long process. But we are getting a lot of gloss out of it, and that's a good thing. So really not that much new. It's just a lot of rinse and repeat. The first 3 coats of the wax, I used the new Lincoln wax that I have on here. Let me get the tin out so I can show you. Give me just a second here, and let me see if it was this one. Let me see what we got here. But this is the Lincoln stain. It says stain wax, but it's neutral. And Danger is saying hello for Poland, and Juan says hola. But this is similar to the wax that I was using. This is fresh wax, relatively fresh wax, and it's very soft. Here, let me open it again so you can see. But yeah, and then we're just talking about shoe care and mindfulness and polishing boots and stuff like that for a few moments. Actually, it was kind of an enjoyable afternoon while I was doing this, even though it was very, very. We got a little bit of rain, which actually helped. A little bit of rain actually helps when you're polishing your boots. Hey, Sam. Sam's come aboard. Yeah, we're actually talking about shoe care tonight. But yeah, here's the wax that I'd been using. Like I said, the first 2 coats I put on were just the Lincoln stain wax, the neutral shoe polish. And so there's actually no stain to it. But there's still a lot of Caranuba in this, and it's very soft. So, how can I put it? You can get a good gloss out of this, but long time, and it's actually too hot right now. You can see that one little hair. Like I said, I shed worse than a dog. And you got to watch those because they'll get into the wax and then mess things up. You can see how soft it is. You can see just me, taking my nail and going across and like that. And it crumbles a lot, so it's kind of messy. Like I said, you want to do this outside or spread a bunch of, newspapers or plastic wrap or something like that in the air, or not in the area where you're going to be applying this stuff. And then, let's see here, I'm trying to see which tin. This is the older tin. This is actually the oldest tin that I've got. And this has lost most of its Caranuba. I've actually heated this several times. and as a result, it's lost most of its Caranuba. I gotta find here. I think it's here where I press. There we go. And there's getting to be very little of this wax left, but you can see it's in chunks, and they're not as soft. They're more brittle, okay? And these, if you're in a cool space, right, once you get that much of a polish or a gloss on there, you can start to maybe put, like I put 2 coats of the other wax, with the full Caranuba that was still soft, and then 1 coat of this down. And then I go over it with the scrub brush, and then after that, I would go ahead and hit it with the horsehair brush. And this is the scrub brush I'm using, just a cheapie from the dollar store. And what it does is it moves the excess wax around and gets an even coat on there. And like I said, this stuff goes everywhere. That's why I typically do this outside when I'm building up the first coats. And then but I'll I'll just spread that wax around until everything looks nice and dull, and then go ahead and then scrub it, but not too hard, just lightly with this brush. And you can see how it's starting to absorb some of the wax and a little bit of the dye. But a lot of that dye that was there earlier, that red tint, has come off and has gone back into the finish on the leather. So, you'll get a nice kind of a semi-gloss finish, and then you'll use your horsehair brush to just gently go over it, just very gently, just back and forth like that, barely caressing it. And you'll do that for hours, just back and forth and back and forth. Just really, it's the type of work that you don't think about doing. If you think about doing it, you're going to, you'll drive yourself nuts. That's just all there is to it. But even now, you could see just it's actually dropped a few degrees, and we have a little bit of a breeze. Still kind of humid. But let's see if I take this boot. You can see that one. But you can see if we take this boot and just brush it a little bit here and see if we can get a little more gloss out of it, just for giggles. Like I said, with that Caranuba in there, it's a volatile. And as it comes out, the wax begins to harden. And right now there's a lot of soft wax. If you touch it, you can actually feel how sticky it is. And you can also see some of the marks that are left in the surface of the wax itself, even from this very, very soft camel hair brush. So, yeah, you can see a little bit of you can see a little bit of a reflection there, but not very much. It's not anything like like these dogs down here, where you can see mind you, I've been mowing the lawn and I haven't cleaned these up afterwards, but you can obviously see the shine on those. So, but yeah, I mean, above a certain temperature, you're not really going to make a lot of progress. You're just going to be building up more and more layers of wax. And that's actually a good thing, because really at this point, when you get this kind of a gloss on here, your boots are really ready to begin wearing. And then, they're protected. They'll still, maybe stain a little if you mow the lawn with them, but you can start wearing them, and breaking them in. And then they'll develop the creases like you can see on these boots here. You can see the creases here along your crease here beyond the toe before the forefoot, where you take and you step like that, and that crease begins to form. But yeah, those definitely don't have them yet, but they're going to get them pretty quick. So really, that's all I've got for you right now. Like I said, I'll probably go ahead and lace these bad boys up and start wearing them tomorrow, and see where we go from there. But it's a long, drawn-out process. It's something that you spend, like I said, you should have 2 or 3 pairs of boots and keep them in cycle. So, like, the ones I'd be wearing tonight I would take them off, not even attempt to polish or clean them, just simply let them rest and let the moisture that's inside of them come back out, and then wear the other pair of boots the next day, and then go back, like I said, wear the other pair of boots the next day. All right, and then the next morning, the morning of the third day, I would get up and spend probably anywhere between 30 minutes and an hour polishing these, and it really doesn't take that long because you've gotten rid of most of the moisture. So you're just simply going to go over them, quickie with a scrub brush to get the grass clippings and like that off of there. You're going to notice around the toe where they've gotten a little dull, okay, just from the abrasion of the grass. Okay, you can see how that's gotten dull. You'll touch that up with a little bit of the harder wax, or even some of the softer wax. You can touch that up because it's mostly filled in. And then scrub it just gently back and forth with this brush or a similar brush, and then touch it up at the end with the camel hair brush. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just a continuous process. You're just continuously doing that. You get to the point where you spend, like I said, about 30, sometimes as short as 15 minutes or even 5 minutes, if the weather's been fair and you haven't stumbled or scuffed your boots at all. All you're doing is just basically taking the dust off of them. But these are definitely ready to wear, and over the coming weeks and months, they'll attain their higher gloss. It's just a process you go through. But when you do this, you do begin to realize and understand why is it that fine leather goods cost so much. Because you begin to have an appreciation for the amount of labor that goes into attaining and preserving that high gloss. It's a very, very humbling thing. But as I said before, and as I believe, this is an act of humility and an act of thanksgiving, because you're giving thanks when you do this, not only for the individuals who've contributed so much to the manufacture of your footwear or leather goods, but also the animal and that was sacrificed to make it. And the better we take care of our leather goods, and the longer we make them last, as I've said before, the less cheap footwear ends up in landfills, the better off our feet are, because as we're caring for these boots or shoes, that you own or I own, we're also caring for our feet, and they're very, very important. So that's going to go ahead and be it for this installment. Thanks for the like. I appreciate that very much. And I hope that you've enjoyed the video or the live stream, depending on when you get to watch this. But I hope you enjoyed it, and maybe you'll find it informative. And maybe we'll revisit these boots again in a few weeks when they attain a bit of a higher gloss yet. So, until next time. Oh, and by the way, large guy, yes, we do see you. The reason nobody's here is probably because, well, we're just talking about polishing boots. And, yeah. So, there we go. And like I said, until next time, you all have a wonderful evening wherever you are. Good luck and Godspeed to you all. And I hope to see you around town.